Hello? These people ain't come chat with me or nothing. Hope. What's wrong with you, yo? Go. Go. That's all you gotta do. We ain't had no distractions this week, man. Let's go. Next man up. Travion, George, somebody.
Independent life insurance broker. As we know, this pandemic is still prevalent today, which means it is more important now than ever to protect ourselves and our family. We have lost friends and family members, and we must prepare ourselves as soon as possible, even if we obtain just enough insurance for cremation. What is my role as a dedicated broker is locating the exact company to accommodate you and your family, also offering you hope and a peace of mind knowing that you are well protected. Let's stop putting the burden on our loved ones with the GoFundMe accounts. Call me Linda J today at 757-927-3253. Pre-existing conditions, no problem. From ages 0 to 89. Allow me to serve you and your family. You will not be disappointed. Call Linda J, an agent who cares, at 757-927-3253. Let's start the GoFundMe's today.
Hello, yo.
What's up, man? The SMS show, Sheree and Sean. The SMS show, the SMS show, the SMS show, Sean and Sheree. The SMS show, the SMS show, the SMS show, Sheree and Sean. Stepping, steady, serving, stable, steady. The SMS show, the SMS show. Say the name now, say the name now. The SMS show, the SMS show, the SMS show, the SMS show, the show is Sheree. Say the name now, say the name, say the name, say
You can't even hear nothing, man.
the name now, say the name, say the name now, say the name, say the name now, say the name. Show me Sheree, the SMS show, Sheree the show, the SMS show. I don't know which name goes first. But just say the SMS show. It's just so ridiculous.
Yes. It's Monday night. This is the is a Cherie show
Sean show.
on Monday night.
Right.
On Monday night, but we are all seriousness tonight. We are talking about a serious topic, which is domestic violence. We are continuing from last week's show. Um, Before we start, I just want to give you all some numbers. In the United States, they estimated 10 million people
Hello,
experience
hello.
domestic violence every year. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, about 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner. About 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience intimate partner physical violence, sexual violence, and a partner stalking with injury, PSD, contradictions of STDs. So we're talking about domestic violence. This is Domestic Violence Month. This is very, very important to all of us. If you have been in a domestic violence relationship or you are now, please seek help. The hotline is 1-800-799-7233. That's the national hotline. If you know someone, please, please call because this is a serious issue. 10 million people in a year has experienced this. This is definitely a topic that we like to tap into. So thank y'all for joining back. This is a serious topic we're gonna go ahead and dig into. So when the guests come back, we'll go back into it. But me and Sean are gonna go ahead and talk about it. Domestic violence. And there were some questions last week that we didn't get an answer. So until the guests come back, me and Sean's gonna touch on that topic. So last week we had one of the ladies come on the show, Miss Tonette, and she we wanted to ask her, and I guess we can go ahead and talk about it, Sean. What are some signs that people can look for in domestic violence?
Well, as far as their uh, unwillingness to talk about their problems or see, domestic violence really, a lot of it actually stems from childhood, from the individual's upbringing. No real man really wants to abuse a woman physically, because if we already know that the average man is much stronger than the average woman physically, and can easily overtake her in hand-to-hand combat. So there are deeper underlying issues that plague the mind and the spirit and soul of that man. So uh, a woman has to be to a man and vice versa, his counselor, his helper, his assistant, his teacher as well. Because before she really gets involved with that man, she must really learn about his childhood, his upbringing, whether he was raised in a single parent household, how his mother treated his father, how his father treated his mother, his relationship with his siblings, his family, and all of that. Because that will determine what type of individual man he is. So, uh, but it really stems from a man's upbringing, his childhood, a lot of ingrained habits or subtle energies that reside within the individual that come out or manifest or materialize objectively when he's in a committed relationship with a woman. Now, he may be madly in love with this woman, but his uh, inability to control his anger, not really knowing or how to express his anger or his feelings towards a woman, he'll try to take it out on her physically in an attempt to show forth and prove his love or his desire to be with her, to keep her, to hold her, or just his anger that he's has bottled up within him from his own personal experience, from his own childhood, or seeing, or seeing his mother physically abused by his father, what have you. So I mean, it's psychological. You know, it's psychological. It's embedded within the psyche, which is the root of the word psychological. Is psyche, which means mind. It's embedded within the mind of the individual, and we have to find a way to
heal that troubled mind of that particular man or the men that desire to physically abuse or kill women or what have you. So, I mean, it's a very deep and intimate topic, and it's very deep and intimate for me because I was raised in a household like that, you know, and but that had me leaning towards the opposite way as far as not wanting to put my hands on a woman and take the short end of the stick in an argument or disagreement, or if a woman were to put her hands on me, I would turn the other cheek, rather than, because I already know I can easily overtake any woman. I know she's not physically, able to defeat me in hand-to-hand combat. So why would I want to take advantage of someone that I already know that I can easily overcome physically? So that I've never been. Uh, in fact, that has really, like, not to get emotional or anything, but to be absolutely honest. Uh, I have always intervened and attempted to aid and assist a woman who was being uh, physically threatened by her man. And I know that's a dangerous thing to do because you can wind up dead yourself. But I still, because I used to recall when my father used to physically abuse my mother. So that's something that turned me off from uh, from doing that to a woman. I take the shortest end of the stick, you know. But it's a very touching and uh, humbling topic to me. It's very disturbing to me because it opens up some of my emotional wounds and scars from what I witnessed as a child. You know, so but it's a very much needed topic because it goes on and it happens too much, too regularly. And I don't necessarily believe the statistics when it comes to the black community either, because as I read some time ago, uh, uh, I just I just don't accept those statistics.
All right, so I do see that we have Tonette that is here now, and
Hey
also
Toadette, hey Donnie.
Donnie. Tonette, thank you for joining us again. We're continuing from last week. Um, again, please sympathize with your story. You know what happened. Thank you for bringing it to the forefront. Again, I just wrote, said some stats, and it happens a lot. And I'm glad you brought your story a lot. My question for you was, what was the first warning sign that you ignored when it did happen?
The first warning sign for me, I would have to say, oh God, there was so many warning signs. The first one, oh wow, I don't even know where to begin. The first one, I would have to say when his temper, it changed from him being so sweet and loving to he would just get so upset over the little things. He would go from 0 to 100 real quick,
Mm,
real quick. We had a little argument one night, and I was leaving out, and he pulled my door handle off the car, trying to get in the car to me, and that was the warning sign. That was one of the that was and I should have left then because there's no way that I could have. I'm saying what I said to him should have made him pull the car handle off the door.
right.
So that was the warning sign. The warning sign wasn't even a hit at me.
So my question to you is: have you ever traced his history as far as his upbringing, his relationship with his mother and father, to determine as whether or not he had some type of perhaps maybe psychological issues, issues he was dealing with from his childhood that he was bringing into your and his relationship that was causing the his depression, anger towards you?
Yes. At first, when he would tell me about the things that he went through as a child, um, was just I just couldn't even imagine going through the things that he's been through
Mm-hmm.
and how loving, sweet, and kind he is. And I'm just thinking, like, where's his anger at? Like, I know he got to be upset
Mm-hmm.
with all the things that he's been through,
Right.
and I've been through a lot, but I couldn't even imagine going through what he have went through.
Mm.
So I think that that has a lot to do with it as well. He has a lot of built up anger,
Mm.
um, because of what he's been through as a child,
Right.
things that a child shouldn't even have to go through.
Can you explain a little, if you don't mind, some of
Um,
his childhood issues?
I would say it was abuse, not by family, but abuse.
Mm.
A lot of hidden abuse.
Oh, physical.
And as a child, is just trusting someone, and even your parents trusting you with someone so close, and they're abusing you in private.
Mm.
So it's abuse that he had went through.
Right.
All right, so I have Miss Deborah McIntyre. She said those things are important, but we're not normally taught to look that deep into the relationship. Look at the entire relationship on all levels, she said. Krista said, did anyone notice the red flags besides you, any friends, family? And if so, did they bring it to your attention?
A family member of mine, she said, we had this real big cookout, and at the cookout, it was my family and his family. I would say almost about over 200 people was there, almost 200. And throughout the whole cookout, it's like he just wanted me to be by his side. If whoever he go to in his family, I was there. It was like, come. And I'm trying to mingle with everybody, but he just constantly wanted me by his side. Like he could walk to the car, and it was like he's calling me. And that was that was the controlling side of him. And my cousin said something to me. She said, why is he so controlling? And I'm like, I didn't look at it as, you know, as him being controlling. I just looked at it as, that's sweet. He just want me to be by him. So I didn't look at it as controlling at that time.
All right, definitely hope they answer your question, Krista. Um, and I know the last time we spoke to you, we did touch on the children aspect. Um, how does your do your children see any of the signs of the abuse, and how has that affected them?
They didn't see any signs. Um, and I am thankful that they didn't see any sign, because I don't know how they would have been able to deal with it. Um, it affected them because I mean, well, it I would say because right now, because of what I went through, I'm so overprotective, and I have a 22-year-old and an 18-year-old, and I am so overprotective. And my 22-year-old, she's actually engaged to be married, and I'm just still so overprotective. So it's kind of impacted them in a negative way, because I just like I'm just like my eyes. I need to know that they're okay at all times. And it's like I know that they're okay, but it's just like I need like verification. Like I need to know, okay, I know that you're going out with your friends or your boyfriend, but I need to know that he's treating you good. So I may be a little hard
Mhm.
on their significant others, but and they understand why, and I'm glad that I have understanding children, so they definitely understand why, and it's just it have definitely impacted them in a negative way, because they have to deal with the healing process that I'm going through.
I have another question from Krista. She said, "Has this experience affected any of your current relationships?" And I see he's in the background as well, so I see that's your current relationship.
It has. I would say it affected my current relationship in a positive way because it actually showed me that I don't have to rush. It's okay to take my time to actually really get to know someone instead of saying that okay, we're together, we like each other, we got to be in a relationship. No, it's okay to just be friends. Trust the process. Take our time. So I'm glad that well, I'm not glad that I had that experience, but I'm glad that in my current relationship that just made official Saturday.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations.
And I'm definitely glad that this actually allowed me to take a step back, and I met someone who's so caring that he's so understanding. And he didn't understand at first, but it's like, okay, I understand that you need to take it slow. We're gonna take it slow. You want to be our friend for years, we could be friends, but I'm not gonna give up on you. So I really appreciate that from him.
That's awesome.
So
That's
my
awesome.
my next question is to you, Donnie. Uh, how did you uh handle Tonette and deal with her knowing her past, and how did that make you a better, much more sensitive man towards her needs?
Oh well, for the most part, man, I seen the women in my family go through this same thing, so I already felt a certain kind of way about the whole topic. So when I seen that she was going through it, it just allowed me to know like what she been through, because I seen people in my family go through. But it also gave me a little bit like patience and gave me a chance to trust the process.
Right.
So it was a gift and a curse because I wish she had to went through all that. But like once she started telling me her story about the controlling, about like she was telling me the story bits and pieces at the time, and I started seeing the red flags as she was telling me the story. Like a man don't want a woman to be around her family, something ain't right. So
Exactly.
I understood like what happened. She just didn't understand it because she didn't. Maybe the abuse she seen wasn't that deep, or maybe it was because it was maybe with family members. It wasn't with her personally, but I knew it firsthand as soon as she started telling me about it. I already understood the process.
Right.
Like when you dealing with somebody, when y'all just out, they always looking around and they scared. Like somebody, they been through something, man. So
Yep.
it just made me understand what she been through, and for the most part just try to bring her forward from that and not be like the previous people was. Like she told me her story, she told me everything that hurt her, I know everything that hurt her. Like I got a simple blueprint: don't do what they did. It's
Right.
not hard.
Right. Right.
So that's just where I'm at with it. Like this a real touchy subject for me, man, because there's people out there that accept this abuse and
Right.
display this abuse, and they don't even know why they doing it. They don't even understand that it come from a long line of dysfunction, man. Like it come from history of not doing the right thing. Like, and it don't come from you, it come from your family, generations and generations. So it takes somebody to be conscious of what you're going through and stand up against it. You might be the only person standing up against it, but eventually somebody gonna listen because you adamant about what you standing against.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I got to say opening up.
Definitely agree with that. Miss Deborah said, "How does abuse impact your life today?"
Well, I
Oh
say
wow.
who they want,
Either
me or
either one of y'all can answer. Y'all both can answer.
well, for, go ahead, baby.
Well, well, today I would say Mm. I'm gonna let you answer first.
I got you.
Okay.
All right. Could you repeat the question one more time, cuz?
How does the abuse impact your life today?
Man, I just know abuse impacts me because I'm on full aware of it, even to the point of when, I might have a disagreement or argument with somebody, and I feel like I was being abusive. Like I even check myself because this it really impact my life because I feel like to me some kind of way all my childhood life I was abused some kind of way, whether it was emotionally, physically, or mentally. Like so it impacted my life for the better because I don't really like it. I don't like violence, even though I did 16 years for a violent crime. Like that ain't really how I feel. Like when I be violent, it's more because I'm protecting myself. So that's how I look at it in these relationships. I don't gotta protect myself from no woman long as she don't got no weapon. All I gotta do is get away and flee the scene and get cover and let her think about it because she hit me, she going to jail. Simple as that. That's where I'm going. If I hit her, and there's so many men out here that would rather be tough and keep their credentials and go to penitentiary for beating a girl up instead of simply picking up the phone and say, "Officer, I can't control her. Could you come help me, please?" Because you going. That's where you going when you beat these
Exactly.
women up.
ASAP.
Well, you,
Nowadays, anyways.
huh?
In this day and time, yes, you are. But years
Yeah,
ago,
you
it
supposed
was
to been going all the time. Like,
yeah,
you know, back in the day, women ain't had a whole bunch of rights. That's why it was accepted. They had to fight for their rights and everything just to be equal to us. So men always felt like they had dominion over women, but they don't, Like, just because it's your girl, like, her body is her body. Like, what she want to do, she's still a grown person. Like, you don't control nobody just because it's your woman, just because you pay a bill, just because you buy a Birkin bag. That don't mean nothing when it come down to a person's lifestyle and livelihood that you're infringing on, yo. Like, everybody deserve to be happy. Simple as that. If you ain't making me happy, you might not need to be in my life. That's just that
facts.
simple.
Agreed.
Agreed.
It's a fact.
Yes. So, Tanette, you want to chime in since you let him go first?
Yes. I would have to say, so right now I'm in a process of getting my power back. Um,
Yes.
not being afraid anymore.
Yes.
So for a while, I walked around looking over my shoulders, peeking out the window before I even stepped out the house, um, afraid to even leave out my door or to even come back home.
Mm,
So just being able to walk outside and not being as afraid. I'm still I have my moments, but just feeling like I have my power back is just it it took a toll on me. I just feel like I am stronger than I have been in a very long time.
That's awesome.
Um, I just that question is so hard to answer without going into something long and drawn out.
well, how long ago were you in this relationship? How long has it been since you left him? Since you
Oh, I left in January
of this year?
of this year.
Okay, so I see where the paranoia still stems from, and why you still paranoid.
Yes,
That's still
and
present.
I it took me a while to speak out because I
Okay.
was embarrassed.
Why?
I was embarrassed of how everyone was going to view me because I'm considered as the strong one,
Mm,
the one that everyone reach out to, the one that everyone looks up to. So it took me a while to even reach out. Um, and what made me get a restraining order was just thinking of my children
right.
because I'm their mother. I have to protect my children.
Exactly. Right. Well, I mean, So, but you gained a lot of wisdom and understanding of yourself, and as far as uh what you, I mean, everyone is like everyone is put through a test here on this physical plane that we refer to as Earth. Everyone has their trials and their tribulations that they must encounter, that they must go through. It's written prior to our birth. You know, I read a piece that it states that your time of death is written at the same time as your birth, and everything in between that we must go through has already been written. It's been
Offense.
predestined. So it was destined for you to go through this and survive to come out on top and be obviously the voice or the orator that you are and can be, the strong woman, because you survived. A lot of women don't survive it. Remember Avis? She didn't
Yes.
survive it. She didn't survive it. A lot of women didn't survive it. So I commend you for your strength, your your ability to rise above and beyond that and still be able to move forward and engage yourself in another relationship, a health relationship. So kudos to you, big ups to you for that, for
Thank
not being
you.
afraid to move forward. Because some women allow it to, get them stuck, and they'll be taking those frustrations out on their next mate. You see what I'm saying? So that's a lot of
Mhm.
maturity and development on your behalf, on your part, that you're not
I got to
trying
foul
to
the ball, man.
abuse Donnie the way you were abused. Because a lot of women do that.
Mhm.
All right. So,
Yeah.
um, Krista says she's happy to hear that the abuse didn't steal your smile. Miss Deborah said, "A smile and giggles tell the story of how happy you are now." She's happy for you. She
Oh,
said,
thank you.
"Oh, he got her," talking about Donnie. Krista said, "If you two were to ever see this abuser today, how would you react?"
Oh, wow. Oh,
Good question.
that's a good question. I don't, to be honest, I don't know if I would actually be afraid of him if I see him again. And I've thought about, I used to have nightmares of just seeing him again. And that was like a fear of mine, just having to see him again. Today, I would be able to look him in his eyes. Like at this moment, if I was to see him again, I would be able to look him in his eyes.
So how do you think he would react to see you with a whole nother man? How do you think he would react? What would be your educated guess upon it?
Could you repeat that again?
How do you think he would react or respond if he were to see you and Donnie out and about? Give me your educated guess based upon
Whew.
your of that.
Hmm. I don't. Honestly, he's actually not confrontational. So I think that if he was to see me with Donnie, I really don't think he would do anything if he see me with Donnie. I may get a lot of threatening messages and emails. I may get some of those, but I don't think he would actually do anything if he was to see us together.
All right, Donnie. So, how would you feel if you saw him, knowing everything he put her through?
Was that question for me? Cuz I couldn't hear you.
Yes. How would you feel if you saw him face to face after everything that he put her through?
Well, I mean, based on, based on like what I know, like I mean, like I used to tell her, man, I feel kind of bad for him a little bit because he just caught, he didn't know how to handle a situation. Like he used anger to handle a situation that could have been, it was a simple fix, but he didn't do the things to fix it. So Like he gotta live with his mistake. He lost a good woman behind his mistake. So I just appreciate it. Like, cause I got a good woman. I go hard for her, she go hard for me. And if I see him, like I don't got no hard feelings towards him, and I know a lot of stuff, but like I'm a man, just like he a man. I'm going about my business. I hope he do the same. For real. But I don't go nowhere. I come in. Everybody know I come in peace and leave with love, man. I ain't even with the shits as they say no more. I'm good. I'm chilling, man. I got me a good woman. I want to be out here with her. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
All
keep it
right,
moving.
all right.
I'm gonna
I
keep it
know
moving.
that's right. Hey,
Hey, cut up.
hey,
Oh,
man, that was a piece right there. Tony, I can say you were extremely blessed and lucky. Listen, everything you went to, he has blessed you with more. Like you said, continue to take it patient. Miss Deborah Smith said he's a smart man. And she said, and the Swag Media Network said, wow, getting her power back. I love it. She said, yes, power up, beautiful. She said, you can see how it still impacts, but speaking out and up will help you tremendously. And she said, wonderful. Yes, she's Team Donnie.
Dig it.
hey, who said that?
Miss Deborah Smith McIntyre, the Swag Media Network. They said they Team Donnie.
Thank you, thank you.
Hey, my question is to you, Tonette. How was he towards other men? Was he a bully or a gangster or a thug when it came to other men, or was he just like that with you? Because
It was just
I know
uh,
from like normally men who generally normally put their hands on women, they're normally cowards when they come to other men. That's real. So how was he when it came to dealing with other men on that level?
he's so peaceful. Everyone goes to him for advice. Um, he's so caring. He would give you the clothes off his back. And that's one of the reasons why it was hard for me to speak out because I didn't want to ruin his
Tarnish
reputation
his
any type of
image.
way
Right, right. Understood.
because I respect what he do in the community and
So you
he's
suffer
there
in
for
silence.
everyone.
You suffered in silence.
Mhm.
See, that's what a lot of women do, which is emphatically incorrect. Emphatically incorrect. That's what a lot of women do. They internalize it. They suffer in silence. They go through it for years of abuse before someone notices their physical disfigurement, or the kids may spill the beans,
Mhm.
you know. But the woman, she will suffer in silence, which is I disagree with that 100%. Let somebody deal with that individual immediately. Take his head off.
I don't agree. I don't
Hello.
agree with taking the head off.
Not literally, figuratively speaking. Figuratively speaking, Sheree. Figuratively speaking. Let me correct that. Figuratively speaking, take his head off, and otherwise put him in a position where as though there would no longer be any harm or threats
You
towards
all
the
right?
woman
You gotta use the
herself.
bathroom.
But
What's up?
I have
You over here?
a question for
Cause we
Donnie.
need people to catch the ball. Too many people drop passes. We ain't
I
work
mean,
Donnie,
this week. Go down there.
Coach Donnie.
Yo.
yeah, we on live, so we need you to
Oh, my
either
fault. My
mute,
fault. I thought I
mute,
had the mic
mute,
muted. My
or
fault. Y'all ain't asking me no questions.
I'm about to ask you a question now, dog.
Oh, all right.
Okay. So I think I alluded to it earlier, but I don't think you gave me a clear enough answer. So I want to
All right. What's up?
revert back to the same question. What Okay, well, this is a question I had. Well, what are you doing to uh assure her or reassure her that you're not that type of guy that she just left or got away from,
Man, come
that
on,
you're
see, you
better
ain't
than
gotta
him.
worry about that. I don't even gotta do no reassurance. All I gotta do is be me, yo. That's all I gotta do. That's all the reassurance she needs. Me being me. Everybody that know me know I'm not with nobody putting their hands on no female. Simple as that. It ain't even hard. It ain't no in between. It ain't no gray. It's black and white when it comes to that topic. And my vote is one way. Keep your hands to yourself, man and woman. Cause I ain't saying that we don't got females that provoke men to anger and stuff. But at the
Right.
end of the day, they can't beat us. So why is you
Exactly.
putting
That's a
women in the
fact.
hospital, killing them and
Right.
all this? You
Right.
going hard, but like, like I do notice this, man. A lot of these people that beat women, man, like they'll turn up on dudes, but it ain't as fast, yo. Like it just be a little more. It had to be drawn out, but like that's it's just dysfunction, man. That's more why I want to speak out, man, because everybody want to try to base it on man or woman, man. Don't nobody say nothing about the dysfunction we grew up in that make us think that this is okay. So, that's the big problem,
Well, I mentioned that
the dysfunction.
at the earlier
If we
part of
if
the
we
show.
attack and address the dysfunction, then a lot of people won't see it as right. People hit women like because they think it's right. They think if they hit them, they supposed to hit them back. Women hit men because they feel like they did them wrong. But at the end of the day, man, we just attack the dysfunction, man. We can come away from it because everybody don't believe it's okay. So it ain't everybody that we got to change their perspective. But
Right.
it's a
Well,
big problem, man. Like I know in a lot of black families, it's real heavy. So man, we gotta do better. Like we gotta just come away from hurting each other, man. Start helping each other. Like one of my mottos now, if I can't help you, man, I ain't trying to hurt you, man. So if I can't help you, I'm gonna just get away from you. I ain't gotta do nothing to hurt you. You gonna hurt if your attitude and your heart ain't right, you gonna hurt yourself enough. I don't gotta do
Right.
nothing.
right.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. And Miss
that's just where I'm at with it, man. Like I come up here and I speak out about stuff that I done been through. Everybody know my story. 16 years. Like part of that 16 years was because of the dysfunction I was raised in. The dis the dysfunction I grew up in. Like I can remember from being able to walk, being around narcotics and bootlegger houses and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it's all about the way your family raise you and then the perspective that you choose to take on right and wrong.
all right.
Yeah, but it's a hard. It's a pretty hard. Uh,
Mute your phone, Donnie.
You said muted? My fault.
Unless an individual has some type of psychological assistance or counseling, and really has a deep desire to relieve themselves of those negative energies that reside along the base of the spine, then they're going to continue to display those counterproductive behaviors towards those that they sincerely love. I mean, a person has to really do a whole lot of soul searching to really relieve themselves of those deep, subtle energies that reside within the soul of the individual. It's in the soul. It's in the soul. It's not a physical thing. It's not by choice that a man deliberately wants to push his hands on a woman especially the woman that he loves. It's not by choice. Believe that. It's not by choice.
All right. So we have Miss Deborah. She said she's extremely happy for this couple because all that she's been through, God gave her Donnie, who she needed to help him heal. I so love them. She's team Donnie. She said, well said, Donnie. Wow. Attack the dysfunction. All right. So we do have our guests coming in. Miss Himes. Miss Himes is gonna close us out with what's going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring in Miss Himes and let her chime in. I did reach out to Miss Himes because domestic abuse is something that she specializes in. and I definitely want her input. I have followed this queen on social media. I have watched her story. She is amazing. And Miss Tonette, I wanted her to hear your story, and I also wanted her to connect with you after this story because your story doesn't stop with the SNS show and with the Swag Media Network. I want you to take this beyond because there's so many women hurting. So many women need to hear your story. There's so many women like you because we're so strong and we don't want to let everybody know what we're going through. And we don't want people to think that we're a failure because of our story, but not no more. You got your power back. Miss Miss Himes is here.
Yes.
Miss Himes, I don't know if you heard all of Tonette's story, but she is a victim of domestic violence, and she's finally getting her power back. And when she told me her story, I saw you. I saw you. I follow you. I watch your story, and I admire you, and I respect you so much that I want you to talk to Tonette. Donnie, could you please mute your phone?
Yep.
My fault, cuz.
All right, Miss Himes, you have the floor.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm actually just joining in the middle of assisting a survivor with a matter, so I'm just taking a step away to join in with you guys for a little bit. But just to give a little bit of background about myself, my name is Nisha Harms. I am the founder of Grow Foundation, which stands for Girls Recognizing Our Worth, and it is a nonprofit organization that assists victims and survivors of domestic violence with rebuilding their lives after abuse. I am a survivor of domestic violence myself. I was in a very violent relationship for about 5 years or so. And even after leaving for the last time, after trying to leave all the times before that, I still dealt with some things and trying to get away from him for good, in which he wasn't trying to have it. So I've had everything from verbal, emotional abuse, financial abuse, digital abuse, physical abuse. I've had black eyes, broken bones. I've been strangled, concussions, everything. And even though you don't see bruises on me today, it's the words, the emotional abuse, that verbal abuse that lingers and stays with you for a long time. Healing is an everyday journey. It's been 9 years since I left, and there's still things that I deal with, triggers that I have to work through. Just learning to trust myself again, to be in a relationship again, learning to trust myself as far as the friendships I have, and just different things that trauma changes you pretty much. It changes the way your brain is wired, it changes the way you think, it changes how you interact with people, how you view yourself. So healing is an everyday journey, and it's going to be something that stays with me for the rest of my life. But I chose to turn my pain into purpose, which is what led me to start Grow Foundation. It just turned 5 years old in August, and I'm grateful, even in having my nonprofit and then working in the 9 to 5. I work full time. My whole team works full time, and working in the prosecutor's office as a domestic violence victim advocate, working for the police department in a special victims unit and slash domestic violence unit. So I've seen a lot. I've heard a lot. I've seen how the system fails. I've seen it work sometimes. I've seen where survivors are ready to go and make that move and take that courageous step. And I've seen survivors with black eyes on the witness stand saying that they tripped and fell, or that the person on the body cam video that we're watching is not them. So I understand that it's a whole different, I mean, everybody's testimony is different, everybody's journey is different. So I'm here to try to help as best as I can. My organization's here to try to help as best as we can with what we have to help survivors take that step. So, to Miss Tonette, I applaud you because I know that it's not easy. I know that the first thing people say is, oh, why don't you just leave? Why did you stay? If it was that bad, why did you go back? And all these different things. But what a lot of people don't understand from the outside looking in, and things I didn't understand before I got into an abusive relationship, while I was in an abusive relationship, and even after getting out, and until I started doing this work in the community, the most dangerous time for a victim of domestic violence is when they're trying to leave or have recently left. That's the highest chance of lethality. That's the highest chance for them to be killed, is when they're trying to leave, because abuse is about power and control. So if that abuser is losing that power and control, the measures that they take to maintain that power and control escalates, and it becomes more frequent and becomes more drastic. So if the things that used to keep you aren't keeping you anymore, then I got to go harder to keep you. And that's basically how a perpetrator of abuse, that's how their mind is going to think. What can I do to keep her or him? That didn't work. They got over that. Now I got to take it up a level. There's financial abuse. There's all these different types. So I'm very passionate about it. It affects 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 men. It's in the LGBT community. It doesn't matter if you're old, young, black, white, Hispanic. It doesn't matter if you're rich, if you're not, if you're a professor, an attorney, if you're a waitress, if you're a college student. I've seen everyone from presidents of big corporations right here in Hampton Roads to stay-at-home moms. And it affects it does not have a face. It does not is not prejudice. It does not. It literally affects us all.
Can I
Those
ask you a
people,
question?
yes.
Do you think perhaps maybe it derives from the misogynistic society that we live in this Western Hemisphere, the misogynistic society that we live in this Western Hemisphere?
Donnie, mute your phone.
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you. I'm sorry.
Do you think
Can you
that
repeat?
it derives from this misogynistic society that we live in within the Western Hemisphere? Because other countries in the East, they don't have these issues that we have here.
Domestic violence is prevalent everywhere. Everywhere. It's just in other parts of the world, it's just normal. It's culture. I've talked to people. Immigration abuse is a big form of abuse. So I've talked to women who come from Afghanistan or Pakistan, and that's just a thing over there. And then so coming here, they don't know the language, they don't know that they can ask for help, and then where the immigration abuse comes in is where their partner doesn't allow them to learn the language, threatens to have them deported if they seek help, damages their like their visa application or their passports and things like that. So it's prevalent everywhere. I even think here it's become normalized. Like people, if you grow up in an abusive household, you're more likely to either become a perpetrator of abuse or a victim of abuse. If you see this in your neighborhood, if you watching this on TV, it's just we're desensitized to violence, to people getting hurt, not just domestic violence, but period. You can pull up a video on any social media platform and see somebody getting shot. Like when I was young, it wasn't so readily available to see violence so blatant. So I think that everyone's just accustomed to it. I talk to people all the time who say, everybody fights. I used to think that because I fought back. I thought this is an abuse. Abuse is some victim, some girl cowered in a corner, getting beat. And I used to fight back, and I was like, oh, that's not abuse. Everybody fights, but that's not the case. That's not true.
All right. Krista says, very true. Trauma does change you. She said, in your experience, what percentage of women go back to their abuser once they left?
So, on average, it takes a victim of domestic violence 7 attempts to leave before they leave for good. They say 7 to 10 attempts, but so the lesser of that, the 7 attempts, and that doesn't mean they're assaulted 7 times and then they say, you know what, I'm done. I'm leaving now. They could have been assaulted 5 or 6 times before they make the first attempt, 2 or 3 more times before they make the second attempt, 3 more times before they make the third attempt, and so on and so forth. They may not even get assaulted the 4th time. It may just be like verbal abuse or some mental psychological abuse. So I've been doing this for years, and in my personal experience and just the women I've come across, I don't know too many who've left after the first time. And then the issue is by the time you realize that you're being abused, you've probably been in an abusive relationship already. Because with my ex, when he would call me out my name, call me a bitch, I don't know if this is supposed to be censored. I'm sorry.
You can say no, it's
But
not censored. Say what
okay,
you
I
want to
was like,
say.
it's too late. You got somebody from Jersey on here. I'm like, oh, it's too late now. But it would call me a bitch, tell me I was worthless and all of that. I didn't look at it as abuse because he hadn't put his hands on me yet. And then when he started putting his hands on me, I wasn't considering it abuse because I was like fighting back. So I don't really know too many in the years I've been doing this who have left the first time or who even recognized it when it started happening, because gaslighting is real. Trauma bonding, love bombing, all that stuff that precedes the physical abuse, the verbal, the emotional. We miss those red flags a lot. We either ignore them or don't know that they're red flags.
Definitely agree with you that. Miss Deborah said, "Wow, culture. That's very sad." She said,
Hmm.
"Domestic violence has no exemptions."
Hmm.
Definitely agree with that.
Do you
And then you
think,
have in the, especially, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Anisha? Do you think that the way a young lady or a young woman or woman was reared or raised, that could give her the misconception of what real love is or care?
Mhm. Very much so. I remember speaking to these kids, these teens at a high school in Norfolk, and asking them what their definition of healthy relationships was.
Mm-hmm.
And this one girl, she was like, I don't think my man liked me unless he hit me. That's how my dad shows my
Mm-hmm.
mom.
Mm-hmm.
That's what love is.
Right.
I know a woman she's in an abusive marriage right now, and she said that her husband told their kids just last week,
Mm.
said, if I didn't care so much, if I didn't love you so much, I wouldn't get so angry. So this is just because I love you so much.
Mm.
So they're now associating that anger and that aggression with this is what love looks like. It's
Mm.
because daddy loves us so much that he's hitting mommy or pushing mommy and things like that.
That's
So definitely.
counterproductive. That's counterproductive. So it
Right.
stems it stems from childhood. Would you agree? It stems from childhood, psychological training or miseducation, childhood. It stems from childhood experiences. Correct? Would you agree that?
Definitely. I remember a gentleman reached out to my organization. He was actually writing from jail,
Mm.
and he was in jail. He didn't tell me why he was in jail or prison. I found out later, but he was there. He had killed his wife,
Mm.
and he was in his 60s. I believe he was about 62 years old when he was writing me, and he had been in prison since he was 29.
Mm.
So he wrote, and he wanted to bring awareness to domestic violence from a male's point of view, and he wanted to his goal was to advocate and stop women from being with men like him, and he wanted to stop men from becoming him.
Mm.
So he talked about how he grew up in a very violent household, and how, his dad beat his mother mercilessly. Like every day he would beat them, his siblings, how it was just terror. He described it as terror growing up the whole time. And he said that how he started acting out in school, he became a bully in about fourth or fifth grade. He
Right.
hit his first girlfriend by like seventh grade. By like 10th grade, he was just full-fledged abusing his girlfriends. But he
Mm.
talked about how when he was in third or fourth grade and becoming that bully, nobody looked into why he was bullying his classmates, why
Right.
he was hitting his classmates. They just wrote him off as the bad kid, the
Right.
kid that needed to go to detention, the kid that was disruptive and all that, putting him in the corner. And nobody looked at that 8, 9 year old like, what's wrong. So that made me look at perpetrators of abuse differently,
Right.
because it's not right that he became an abusive person. It's not right that he later killed his wife and take her life, and now he's in jail 40 plus years,
Mm.
or perhaps life. But you can't help but see how he turned into that person when all he knew was violence from the
Right.
time he was born.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
All right. Krista
Exactly.
said, "Spouses abusers will still have rights to their children. That's awful for the victim to be forced to have a constant relationship with them.
Consistent.
The healing will never start. What support can you give them?"
It's difficult because I've had survivors with that issue come to me, and aside from like moral support, And just listening to them is heartbreaking. So it could be like they need referrals for legal counsel or things like that. But the system is very frustrating. You know, I've seen where survivors have lost their children because, let's say, the abuser has made it so that they don't work, they don't have any money, they don't have access to any, like, they're pretty much homeless living in a shelter. And then you have the abusive partner saying, well, I don't want my child living in a shelter, I can provide them this good home, they have a bedroom, 3 square meals a day. So I've seen where survivors have had to turn over custody to the person who was harming them because they couldn't provide a stable home for the child just because they left an abusive situation. So other than like mental, moral support, like, it really takes, like, I've referred them to like places where they have like pro bono, like consulting, like legal counseling and things like that. It's just hard. Like I'm really looking for attorneys who are willing to help. That's one of the biggest things we need help with, finding an attorney who's willing to help for free or for next to nothing. And that's few and far between. I don't know what attorney would do that, but I have faith that I'm going to find him or her because it's needed.
Right. Understood.
All right. And Miss Deborah Smith said, people are distorting love. Love does not hurt.
Right. It's not supposed to. And I've seen a lot. Every time I think I can't be surprised, I am. And then having my nonprofit organization, when people come to me for help, they either are in a place where they recognize that they're in a toxic situation or making their way out, or they have recently left and looking for help trying to get it back together. When I was working for the prosecutor's office and then for the police department, that was a whole different viewpoint, because we would sit in court and listen to 911 calls, and the person on the stand would say, that's not me, I didn't make that call, I don't know who that is on the call. We would watch the videos. I've seen people covered in blood and bruises, and they're denying that that's them. You know, you'll see the psychological abuse and the digital abuse, where people will use like Ring app and trackers and stuff on, and putting trackers on people's car. It was one woman, she had 3 trackers 3 different times put on her car, and she had no idea how he was getting into her car. There was another woman, he put raw fish and chicken breast throughout the heating ducts in her home, so she didn't know why her house was smelling like that and why bugs was coming from the vents and things like that. So, and the men, some of the worst cases I've seen have been male victims. Once I saw my husband's friend come into court, and he was shocked to see me, I was shocked to see him, and I had to tell him, look, someone stabbing you with scissors is not normal.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a lot.
Can you tell us how can people connect with you that are in a domestic violent relationship or trying to leave
Yes,
domestic
definitely.
violence?
So our website is www.growfoundationva.org, VA as in Virginia. And I see the comments, tell more about my nonprofit. You can find all of our contact information on there. If you just go up to the top right corner and hit connect or contact us, and it has all of our social media information. But we do a lot in the community. I'm really big on, I just remember when I first got into advocacy and stuff, I would go to events and I would just hear people spouting off statistics and giving out pamphlets and pens, and then I would not remember anything I learned, because it was like, all you're doing is talking at me, you're not talking to me. So we really try to do things that stick with people. So one of the things I got into after leaving my abusive relationship was boxing. So every year now, I have an event at the boxing gym that I go to where survivors come and speak. This past August, we flew out the former professional boxer Christy Martin. So she put professional women's boxing on the map, and her husband tried to kill her. So she's a
Right.
survivor of domestic violence, and we
Exactly.
flew her out, and she was able to connect with survivors, and it was a great event. So we have a lot of outreach events every summer. We do an ice cream tour where I book an ice cream truck and we visit all of the domestic violence shelters in the area, and we treat the kids and the parents and the staff to free ice cream. Because it's like, they need some sort of normalcy. They need to
Right.
be able to run out to the ice cream man and just go get ice cream. And these kids, it's such a sight to see because some of them act like they balling. Like you tell them, you can get an ice cream, but then one girl went and she got a bag, like a Walmart bag, and she was tiptoeing out with like 8 bars of, and I was like, really? And but it was just it's a good feeling. And I've had people say, well, why didn't you just bring ice cream to the shelter? And I'm like, because anybody could do that. Like,
Right.
why not? Why not have these kids hear the ice cream man and then just tell them, go get what you want and then let them have that? So we do a lot
So
of stuff. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, not to cut you off, but I think you alluded to earlier, in which it was a brief allusion, but I want you to revert back to the fact that you stated that you have witnessed men who as well have been physically abused by women.
Hmm.
Could you elaborate upon that subject a little, please?
Yeah, it's very prevalent. It's, and I don't see too, I've had a couple men come to my organization for assistance, and we'll help anybody. You're a survivor of domestic violence, you need assistance, you leave an abusive relationship, we'll help you. But it wasn't until I started working in the criminal justice field as far as the
Hmm.
9 to 5 that
Hmm.
I saw how it impacts men. And the thing is, with men, it's you have them, I'll talk to guys, they're like 6'2", and their wife or their girlfriend is like 5'3", and they're
Hmm.
saying things like, I can't be abused, she's little, she can't, I'm not afraid of her, I'm not a punk, I'm not soft, I'm not this, I'm not that. But a lot of men who are in abusive relationships, sometimes the woman doesn't even touch them. It's that mental and that verbal abuse.
Hmm.
So it's like, you're not a man, you're soft, you're not a good father, you ain't shit, you ain't this, you ain't that, you're never going to amount to anything. I've seen where women were like, I'll tell the cops you hit me. Who you think they're going to believe, me or you?
Exactly.
Or you call the cops on me, you'll never see your kids again.
Hmm.
You know,
Right.
is very prevalent with men. And then in talking to them and just saying, look, and they'll write it off like, oh, she just crazy, she's just insecure. And it's like, that's not normal. Somebody's not supposed to be monitoring your phone all the time, your social media, telling you
Exactly.
can't go out anywhere, telling you who you can be friends with, who you can't be friends with. That's not normal. And too many of us get used to functioning in dysfunction, and then it becomes our version of normal, and that's
Right.
not how it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. I absolutely, totally agree and overstand everything you just
Hmm.
said. And I
Definitely agree. And
totally
Miss
agree.
Deborah said they need to have a sense of normalcy. So definitely I have Tonette on the show. She did speak of her issues and what she had. I definitely want you to speak into her. She is in the she left the relationship in January, so she is still in the healing process. But definitely want you to give her some encouraging words. And Tonette, I definitely want you to make sure you follow Miss Himes as well. She does. I love watching her boxing. She's empowering. Everything she does is empowering. I definitely want to say follow her. Miss Himes, what can you tell us? Everybody listening or anybody who's been in who has been in a abusive relationship who is just give us some positive words.
I mean, it's so much. But the first step is, when you're in a situation like that, you feel alone. You feel like you're on an island, like nobody understands what you're going through. And then it gets to a point where you are so broken, that it's hard to even see that there's life after. But I'm living proof, you're living proof that there is life after. And it will be hard. The healing journey isn't easy, but it's definitely worth it. You weren't put here to be somebody's doormat. You weren't put here to be told that you're worthless or that you'll never amount to anything or that nobody will ever want you. You weren't put here to be kept captive and to shrink yourself just so somebody else can be whole. That's not what you were here for. God meant for you to be great. You are, you hold your head up high, you put that crown on, and you know that you are unstoppable. Everything that that person tried to do to hurt you, they tried to break you, you're still here standing. You're still here standing despite of all of those things that we don't know about, that we may never know about, that the things that you don't want to think about. You're still here standing. So I applaud you. I'm proud of you. I'm here if you ever need to talk, if you need to vent. You may be like, look, if you ever want to come boxing, I'm always inviting. people to come boxing with me. We also have a monthly support group, which is held at the boxing gym that I go to. So you just need to surround yourself with people who pour into you. You know, you gotta get yourself back to a place where for every negative thought that you think about yourself, everything that you tell yourself you can't do, you're not good enough to do, you challenge that, you counter that with three positive thoughts. You know, so it's an everyday process. I'm here to help any way I can, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you, Miss Adams. Thank you very, very much. Do you think that you could take Layla Ali? You said you
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
okay.
We'd probably be friends though. We'd probably be friends.
Yeah,
I'm good.
that was just a side joke. That's all.
I'm good. I'm good. But I don't know.
All right,
I don't
Tonette,
know.
you have
I'm
anything
not
to
look.
say? I see she got you crying. She gave you
Oh
some
my God.
powerful words, and that's what it's about. It's
Oh,
about saving each other.
yeah. And I mean it's and I've talked to so many people and we can tell each other ourselves all day why I should go back. I talk to survivors, they're like, I gotta go back because of this, I gotta go back because of that. You know, bills, I don't wanna break my family up. I don't wanna be a single mom. I don't want to be a single dad, all these different things. And I'm like, okay, now that you've given all of those reasons, tell me why you deserve to go back.
Mm,
And it's
okay.
always
Good
crickets,
question.
Mhm.
silence.
Good
Right.
question.
So I look, I get it. I mean, it's hard sometimes. I still struggle with things, but you know, I'm here and you're here and we've all survived something. So just shout out to us all for
Yes.
living, overcoming. I feel like I'm unstoppable. Like I wish somebody would now. I'm like, I wish you would. I wish you would. But
But you know, I
you know,
mean,
it took a long time to get to this point.
right, right, right. I mean, like the book states, I mean, the race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but he who endureth until the end. We're all going to be tested, tried, and tempted throughout our life, and your trials, your tribulations, is what put you in a position to aid and assist other women in like situations that probably wouldn't have the strength or the motivation to come forward on their own. So, I mean, hey, I mean, what you went through and what you survived, you know, your life is a lesson for
Hmm.
other women to follow in your footsteps and
Yep.
over know that they can
Yep.
overcome. So I mean, be thankful and grateful because hey, I mean, I think that's the objective of an individual's
Yep.
life who's an overcomer, to overcome so we could be a guiding light to others that are in the sea and they can only see darkness surrounding them. We can be a ray of light of guidance to them. So that's what you are. So, you know,
Yep.
I mean, count it all joy, as the good book says. My grandfather used to refer to it as a good book. Count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. For the
Right.
trying and working of your patience, of your trials, work it bringeth patience. You see what I'm saying?
And
So,
Yep.
so,
you know,
and Miss
yeah.
Deborah Smith, she said great advice and support. And Tonette, Krista said, "What are you doing for you?" Miss Himes told us what she's doing, the boxing and all this other stuff. What are you doing to heal you and continue to keep your power?
Well, for me, I'm going through therapy right now. I am a part of a support group as well. And I've been doing a lot of writing and my poetry again, just doing things
Okay.
that I enjoy.
Mm,
I had put all that aside at one point because it wasn't about, well, I felt like it wasn't even about me. So I'm just learning how to love myself again.
mm, right.
Yes. We definitely need to be friends. I do poetry too.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Definitely.
lit, literature and the arts, that's a very powerful way to express yourself and relieve a lot of the inner blocked subtle energies. That's a very powerful and profound way when you can write them out and articulate them on paper. That's very, very, and you should, in fact, you should compile them into a book and perhaps maybe think about having them published. Seriously, I'm dead serious. As a heart attack, you should attempt to compile them in a book and have them published so other people can, you know, because it's a very realistic goal. It's not hard.
All
I've
right.
never
So,
thought about that.
Yeah, well, think seriously about it. You as well, Miss Himes.
all right. Again, Ms. Himes, thank you so much for joining us and chiming in. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out to help and listen to Tonette. Again, Tonette, thank you for your story. This is the month. If you know anybody who needs help, this is a national hotline. Please call the 1-800 799 7233. Let's continue to keep our power, get our power. Please reach out to the Growth Foundation. Reach out to her, Ms. Himes. You definitely, I definitely would be supporting you and what you got going on. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Domestic violence is very serious. Um, Come on, it's both ways, men and women. Let's get our power back. And I understand it's something that we grew up in childhood, but that doesn't mean we have to keep bleeding on to somebody else. Get the help that you need. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you both for taking the time out of your night to come on the show. Definitely tune in with us next Monday night to the SNS show.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Annette, I look forward to hearing from you.
You will.
Make me find you.
All
Okay.
right, survivors. Big
Have a
ups.
good
Peace.
Good
Good
Peace.
night.
night.